we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. I am Anthony Irwin. I am bummed because it looked like the Lakers were heading into overtime, and it was a nice early evening where we could have enjoyed it a little bit, but nope. Nikola Vucevic had to hit an insane 25-foot-in-the-air jumper to win the game. I'm joined by Harrison Fagan. Harrison, how are you handling the devastating loss on a random Wednesday night?
Oh, before we went on air, I was crying. So you had to get me. That's why we were delayed so much. I had to clean myself up a little bit, put on a little makeup because, I got to keep the fans satisfied. But I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
I'm also joined by Tom Fear. I always call him Tom Fair, which is unfair. How are you doing, Tom?
Oh, Jesus Christ. You're just making everything worse. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Anthony? Are you glad to be back?
I am. I haven't been here in, I think it's 4 shows. Literally, every night the Lakers were playing, something was going on. My power went out one night. I had an owners meeting another night. It's been crazy. They played on a random...
Hashtag the return.
Yeah, the hashtag the return, and I returned with a pun. So, hashtag the repun.
No.
That was horrible. Man.
They're always terrible.
Yeah, but that was you're worse than usual tonight.
Okay.
It's rusty.
Speaking of worse than usual, Lakers Twitter today was about as angry as you're gonna find it. I signed on this morning. I had watched a little bit of the Miami game, but I wasn't able to catch all of it, and holy moly, there were some angry people. None angrier, I would say, than Tom, who spent roughly 1,000 words today talking about why Byron Scott should be fired. I'm just going to go ahead and... I read the article. Go ahead and without spoiling everything, where are you coming from on that one?
Well, I think it was actually 1,300 words, and then Drew and Dean got it down to about 1,200. But it's... if anyone's listened to the show before when I've been on, it's not any surprise. I've thought that Byron's just a bad coach for a long time. I didn't support the hire. I didn't get the hire. I still don't get the hire. But it's fine if you want to have a bad coach on a crappy team. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't move the needle at all. I'd be totally fine with the Lakers just having a terrible coach and going through the motions and letting the rookies play and maybe getting a chance at keeping the top 3 pick this year. But the way that he's been handling the DeAngelo Russell situation, which got better tonight, and we'll talk about that, has really been infuriating. And especially when you hear post-game quotes from both Byron and DeAngelo, and you see that they're clearly not on the same page at all. And DeAngelo is frustrated. And he doesn't know what he wants him to do to get on the court. And Byron has been incredibly inconsistent, and he said things that are remarkably inconsistent and downright stupid at times. And I had just had enough, so I emailed Drew. I said, I'm ready to write the Fire Byron piece. Whenever you think it's okay for me to go, I'm gonna go. And he was just like, okay, we need to do it carefully, but if you want to give it a shot, go ahead. And I spent about an hour and a half probably writing it last night. And so that's where it came from, out of frustration for the most part, being a Lakers fan.
Did any keys stop working while you were pounding on your keyboard during that hour and a half?
No, I don't type like that. I was in the zone. I was focused. Someone might come by and ask a question. Didn't even respond to this. Got to get this done.
Got to put the horse blinders on sometimes.
It felt good to just vent all that frustration into a long post and have people read it and give feedback. It was fun. Plus, I hadn't really written a long piece for Silver Screen Roll in a while, so it was good to get back on the horse.
It was. I will say this. I read it earlier this afternoon, and it's not, like Drew said, you kind of have to be careful when you're writing a piece like that. You're talking about somebody's livelihood and all the caveats that go along with that kind of statement. But what I liked was that it never felt too high on the hot takery meter. Harrison, did you have a chance to read the post?
Yeah, he told me he was writing it, and I read it in the queue last night. So I'm not sure what the final one ended up
You
being
got a
edited
special
down
advanced
to.
training.
But yeah, it was all the fire emojis.
hmm But it
It
was
was
logical
respectful though.
fire.
It
Yeah.
didn't devolve into ad hominem attacks. He said he wasn't a good coach, but he didn't sit there and spend 500 words saying this guy's an idiot. He's so dumb. How could he do all these things? He went through examples of things that Byron has done badly and and bad coaching decisions that he's made and frustrating habits that he's had and frustrating quotes that he's had. And he just broke it down and basically went through a list of why he feels like Byron Scott should not have a job.
Now, if only we could get Tom to take the ad hominem attacks away from the review he gives the podcast, then we're good to go.
Right. And speaking of what Harrison just said, I think, excuse me, at some point last season, I don't remember when exactly it was, I basically wrote a draft that was, not approved to go. That was,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it was completely terrible, but it was more of the tone of Byron Scott is the worst. Here are all the reasons he is the worst, and not.
I think
more
that
of an
was
analytical.
literally the title.
Yeah, no, the working title was Byron Scott is the worst. But which I still sort of feel that way. But for this piece, I felt it was important to go and approach it from an analytical perspective and say, and I basically started off the piece by saying, look, Byron's a bad coach. There's a lot of reasons we could discuss about this. We could talk about this. We could talk about that. We could talk about the way he's using Kobe. We could talk about how his defenses have looked terrible despite having a reputation as a sort of defensive guru. We could talk about all these different reasons why he's a bad coach. But let's focus on the reasons that are relevant right now and the one that necessitates his immediate removal. And that's this. I don't think this is the guy you want handling and coaching and leading the young core of the Lakers. He seems like he has tendencies to make very bad decisions in this regard. And I don't know, and we can segue into talking about DeAngelo Russell a little bit more now. I don't know if it was his decision, if he realized the error of his ways and that he decided to play DeAngelo more. I don't know if it was as a result of the way DeAngelo was playing. I don't know if the front office came up to him and said, "Hey, this guy needs to play. We get what you're trying to do, but we need to see him develop and we need him to play." I don't know what the case is, but it got better.
You forgot the fourth option that he read my piece last night on why DeAngelo Russell should have played in the fourth quarter.
Right.
That's also
which, truthfully, the most likely option. Let's be honest.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's a given. Everybody reads me, right?
Yeah,
everyone.
Totally. I didn't read the piece, but
even if they say they don't and they have no idea who you are, they're lying.
Gotta stay humble.
We kind of went away from the perfect segue Tom was throwing in my lap. Harrison threw the curveball out there at the very end.
You should have seen Harrison's segues the last few shows. They're great.
But no, talking about DeAngelo Russell and the treatment of him, we saw a couple different quotes from Byron today saying that he was, in essence, protecting DeAngelo by not playing him in the fourth quarter, which, if I'm Russell, I'm saying, maybe we find out whether or not I can play in the fourth quarter, and then you protect me from that situation. Maybe that's a possibility, Byron. But tonight he played in the fourth quarter. We'll talk about who didn't play in the fourth quarter in a little bit. But the one thing I did notice from DeAngelo Russell early in the game was that kind of F it mentality that Randall plays with when it comes to Byron's offense. Harrison, did you see a little bit of that? He came out really aggressive in that first quarter.
He was the whole engine for the first quarter. He actually, by my count, he scored or assisted on the first 12 Lakers points, and he ended the game with 14 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. So he was really good tonight, and especially in that first quarter, it's exactly like you said. He was really confident. He was running his stuff. He was playing his game and making plays for the Lakers, whether he was scoring or whether he was assisting. And it was really nice to see. It kind of all came together for him.
Mm-hmm. Apparently coughs are contagious.
No, I have a tickle in my throat. Sorry.
No, I have the same one.
Oh, okay.
Tom, what did you watch, or what do you think was the impetus for DeAngelo Russell playing in the fourth quarter tonight? Was it Byron hearing the criticism, or I thought DeAngelo deserved to play in the fourth quarter, and anybody who said otherwise wasn't watching the same game.
I absolutely thought he deserved to play in the fourth quarter. But the thing is, I've thought that about a few other fourth quarters that he didn't really play in. So I don't know if that's what prompted Byron to play him there. But just going back to his performance, I thought he was really good. Even just outside of the first quarter, I thought he looked good. I think this is sort of one of the games where you really need to watch what he was actually doing to determine how well he played. And you look at, he has, it was 6 of 15 from the field, only finished with 3 assists and 3 turnovers. He was making a lot of things happen. He was getting the offense moving. He was making some nice passes that just, didn't turn out into buckets. He had a few shots that went, just barely didn't go in. I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked really assertive. I thought he looked a lot more involved in the offense. His teammates looked like they wanted to get him more involved. So I said this sort of from the silver screen roll account. I think I would just be sort of a hater if I didn't give Byron a little bit of credit for that, because it was, I don't know who ultimately said it, but it looked like a conscious decision to get him active and involved in the game, and I thought he looked really good as a result.
The issue I think that we're kind of running into, and I was thinking, I had meant to tweet it. I don't think I ever sent the tweet from the account, but at some point, both Russell and Clarkson will play a good game at the same time, or play well for stretches of the same time. And tonight it feels like a lot where one is aggressive, one is timid, or one is aggressive, and vice versa. Tonight it was Jordan Clarkson's turn to be timid, and man, it's tough. The issue is the offense seems to only be started from one point on the court, and only one person can be on said point at any time on the court, and here you have Clarkson, who gets benched in the fourth quarter. How are you watching the game from that perspective, Harrison?
Well, Clarkson obviously wasn't great tonight, but I do kind of disagree with you about him being timid. I thought that towards the end of the second and during the third quarter, he had a couple of plays where he looked pretty aggressive. I thought that he did a good job getting into the paint or getting near the paint, either drawing a second defender and dishing it off. I remember he had one play to Bass, and then he had another possession late in the third where he dribbled in 2 circles around the entire Magic defense in the paint and then finished with a floater. It was very Steve Nash-esque, which I wrote about a little bit for Silver Screen and Roll. So I don't think that he was entirely timid. I do think that he didn't have the ball in his hands as much tonight. And so I think that hurt him, but he didn't really have a strong shooting night. He got 5 assists, so he was making some plays. But yeah, it wasn't his strongest game tonight. Did he deserve to be in there in the fourth quarter over Lou Williams? Absolutely. But that just, for whatever reason, Lou Williams, I guess, was promised a fourth quarter role or something, because it seems like no matter how he plays, he is going to be in there.
That is actually a really interesting thought that I hadn't thought of before. I do wonder if that's, or maybe not even explicitly agreed upon, but maybe sort of just more of an implicit agreement that, hey, we're going to bring you in, you're going to be the sixth man, you're going to be on the floor at the end of games. Maybe that's why he signed the deal with the Lakers. I don't know.
I think that might be a selling point to him, right? Because it's got to be frustrating
Absolutely.
when you're playing for Toronto or whatever his other teams over the last couple of years. You feel like you're playing really well. You're winning. You win Sixth Man of the Year. You've been a spark plug off the bench for a number of teams, and you still aren't in down the stretch. And maybe you feel like, to a degree, like DeAngelo was feeling, where you're being benched for no reason despite playing well. And so maybe that was part of the appeal. Maybe they sold him on, you can earn your role to finish out games with us. You may not start, but you might finish.
Lou Williams had the most Lou Williams stat line tonight, by the way.
I know, I just saw that.
2 of 8 from the floor for 13 points, but he was 9 of 10 from the free throw line. the most free throw attempts for any player on either team by a factor of 2.
I'll say this. I don't think that, obviously, I don't think contractually that's something they could even put in the contract.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not in the contract. It's
or even an implicit agreement that, hey, this is how we might get you over here. I just don't think the front office, it took them, 40 games last year to convince Byron to start playing Clarkson a little bit more, and then they're gonna heap Lou Williams in the fourth quarter on him. I thought him playing so much in the fourth quarter and getting so many looks in the fourth quarter was a result of Kobe just not being out there and Byron saying, well, shoot, somebody has to be out there. Somebody has to take those ISO plays. Happy Veterans Day, Lou Williams. But, it's frustrating because this is how those guys are going to get better, is by playing together in close games like this against a weak opponent like Orlando. You look at the long-term outlook on the Lakers, and Lou Williams doesn't figure into that, even remotely. And that's where the frustration kicks in, right, Tom?
Yeah, sorry, I'm laughing because I think Harrison's picture on my screen froze while he was facepalming, so it was just like going on for like 40 seconds. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
that is a
it wasn't 40 seconds. I caught myself.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, what was the question?
Do you think that Lou Williams should be in there in fourth quarters, given that he doesn't factor into the Lakers' long-term plans?
No, I mean, I didn't have a huge problem with it tonight. I would prefer both Clarkson and Russell to be in there going forward, and obviously, assuming Kobe plays a lot of games this season, you never know. He's going to be on the court at the end of the games. Whether or not he deserves to or not, he's earned that right over, 20 years. But, holy God, Elfrid Payton was 1 of 13 from the field tonight.
I saw that before we went on air. He would have almost had a triple-double if he could have gotten like a couple baskets. But,
man, holy cow.
His name is Elfrid Payton, not Alfred, on a shooting night like tonight.
No. But no, yeah, I want Clarkson to be on the court at the end of games.
I want both of them.
Yeah. And there's some problems that we'll obviously get to the horrid final play at some point. But I should be paying attention more closely than this, so I apologize. But I'm just going to ask this to make sure you guys are seeing the same thing. When Lou Williams is on the court, is he he's basically been the point guard no matter what, right? Like whether it's Clarkson or Russell on the court, he's been the one taking up the ball and like initiating the offense. Am I wrong on that? I could be wrong on that.
Even if it isn't initiating, he has the ball a lot.
He comes and gets it from them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When nothing develops out of those sets, he just comes in and they're dribbling at the top of the key. He comes and gets the ball.
And
it just struck me in the first quarter, end of the first quarter when it was the two guards were him and DeAngelo, and he was basically assuming the point guard duties, and I just don't get that.
Mm-hmm. It's why he struggled to get on the court other places with meaningful teams, right? He's a point guard who happens to score. And it's why those teams that have wanted to win didn't play him late in games, because he doesn't play like a point guard, but he has the body of a point guard. So you kind of have to try to make him a de facto point guard. And other players on the court are going to struggle when he's trying to play like that. In my opinion, might be a hot take.
I was under the. I mean, obviously he had the ball a lot with the second unit of Toronto, but I was under the impression that he was the two. There wasn't when he was in the game, he was basically the shooting guard, and he could do some point, but at least that's what I was expecting going in, and I've been dissatisfied with that.
Right. Let's talk about that last play that the Lakers ran. It was unfortunate. We'll go ahead and call it that way. We'll describe it that way. Harrison,
depends on your point of view.
Good point. Harrison, I noticed that Julius Randle wasn't on the court for that last play, and the play wound up being basically a Kobe play ran for somebody not named Kobe at the end of the game. As you were watching it, were you just thinking, this can't honestly be the play, right?
Well, I'm standing there watching DeAngelo just kill clock for the first, 10, 15 seconds. The Lakers don't really seem to be running much. They're just kind of waiting. And then Lou Williams came up and got the ball, isolated, dribbled in a little bit, dribbled back behind the three-point line, then dribbled in again and took a fadeaway, pull-up. And it was just, why? It was almost like, it reminds me of a lot of NFL coaches. It seemed like it was almost drawn up we're going to play, we aren't playing to win, we're going to play not to lose. We want to continue and get this into overtime at least. When I think that they should have been a little more aggressive. You got to run some stuff, and you got to try and get a look at the basket. And do I think Randall should have been in there? Yeah, he was good tonight. I think that he would have had it. I mean, he had just gotten blocked by Tobias Harris, I believe, on the play before that. But that's no reason to bench him. He had been effective all night. He had made 6 other shots. He should have maybe gotten a look there, or they should have at least tried to be more creative in some way.
And I'll sort of take you through the stream of consciousness as I sort of laid it out on the Silver Screen Roll Twitter. I was like, okay, this would be a really interesting plot point if you were able to get DeAngelo Russell involved in this last play. And the play, like, I wish I could have been in Byron's huddle to hear him explain that play. It's like, okay, listen up. What we're going to do, DeAngelo, you're going to grab the ball. You stand there for like 15 seconds. Then you give Lou the ball. He's going to do some fancy dribble moves and shoot up a contested shot. We're going to win the game. All right? Okay. Like,
why does Byron Scott sound like Mike Ditka?
That's how Byron calls plays. But I just, like, why? What is the point of calling that play? It's I don't know. He's frustrating.
Who was on the court there? It was Lou, Roy, DeAngelo, Nick, and whom?
Hold on, I can find this out for you pretty quick.
I'm gonna guess Meta.
Yep, there you go.
I'm not sure. I don't know. And someone even tweeted me like, why are you bringing out Randall and adding an extra shooter if you're not going to use them? And it's like, obviously to make the team think you're going to run something smart, which will keep them off balance, and then you can do something really dumb.
This is basically the play the Lakers ran, right? Oop, I got to lower it just a little bit. That's rough outline of what, Byron put together for the Lakers, where he says, all right, we got Lou, and we got, this counts as spacing, right? Analytics, this is what our analytics department, Rudy Tomjanovich's son said, this is spacing. Look at all this space, and I don't know why we wouldn't get a great basket here.
Yeah, no, that's what the nerds love.
Man, look, Byron, I would say before we came on the air, I thought, Harrison, you made a good point saying that Byron is taking an undeserved amount of blame, but he doesn't make it easier on himself when that crap happens.
Nope, not at all.
When you're saying, all right, look, I'm doing everything I can, the team is flawed, blah, 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 blah. All right, guys, here's our play to win the game, And I thought Orlando deserved to hit that last shot. It was a Hail Mary shot, and the Lakers lost the game, and it's just that was a basketball god saying, this is what you get for running a 24-second ISO for Lou Williams to win a damn game. You can't do that.
Yeah, I think that we've reached critical mass on Byron hatred. I think that a lot of fans, not to rag on fans, but I think that a lot of them are just, I hate Byron because he's Byron at this point. Like, he can do no right. And you got to remember, this roster is awful, and that's not his fault. Not every single thing that goes wrong for the Lakers is his fault, but does he help in any demonstrable way? Definitely not a lot. Maybe in some ways. I couldn't name them for you, but
that's the point. And I'm probably one of the people that's guilty of being too harsh on Byron. I don't think I'm being too harsh, but I probably am at some points.
Most of the time, you have actual reasoning behind your criticism.
Like, what does he do that is a positive for being the coach of the Lakers? Because I can't think of a single thing. It doesn't seem like he develops well. It doesn't seem like he's a good leader. It doesn't seem like he has the locker room. It doesn't seem like he makes good in-game adjustments. It doesn't seem like he has a good offensive system. It doesn't seem like he has a good defensive system. It doesn't seem like he does. He does not contribute value to the Lakers whatsoever.
Did you practice that before we went on?
I was just saying, like, holy crap, that was like hyperspeed. You went plaid.
I used to be in policy debate. That's why.
I agree with everything you said, or everything I heard. But everything you said.
I disagree with you a little bit on the losing the locker room thing. Do I think that he hurts Russell's confidence sometimes? Yes, but the team does almost always play hard for him, especially at the end of last year when there was really not a whole lot to play for, he did have quite a bit of the team playing hard for most of the team playing hard for him.
Here's the thing with that.
You guys are making me defend Byron Scott.
Sorry.
No, I do, because that is one of the counterpoints for Byron that is often made. But if you look at that team, all of those guys were trying to stay in the NBA.
That's true.
That's what I was.
All of those guys were working for their next contract, you know.
Right, and of course, Jordan Clarkson was going to play hard. Of course, Jabari Brown was going to play hard. Like
it's hard
they want to prove themselves.
It's hard for me to credit the guy for that, but it's hard for me to disparage him greatly given the rosters he's been given since he's been a Lakers coach. So the two, I don't know if they cancel each other out or whatever, but yeah, Byron is Byron. I think the hashtag speaks for itself. Let's go ahead and.
Is that a thing? I haven't seen that.
Byron, well, it should be. Byron being Byron? Yeah. Ironic.
No, that's Manny. Manny being Manny.
Oh.
You should know that now that you're a Dodgers Nation person.
Baseball. Head honcho.
Hot shot.
Yeah,
I did want to make a note of this. I saw that after the game, DeAngelo Russell was asked about having the ball in his. This is from Baxter Holmes. I asked DeAngelo Russell about finally having the ball in his hands with the game on the line. And Russell responded, "I'm built for this." So after last night when they asked him if he understood why he was benched in the fourth quarter, and his response was just to look down and shake his head, that's much better quotes coming out from him tonight. He strikes me as the kind of player that's really affected by the result of the game. It seems like after losses, he is morose, like couldn't be lower. And after wins, he's up. He's a great quote. It seems really confident. So I think part of that's just being a 19-year-old. That's another thing that ties back to he's pretty young.
He's built for this, but he gave up the ball to Lou Williams for 14 seconds of dribbling in the same game.
He's built to give up the ball to Lou Williams.
He made that pass.
Barely.
All right, so let's go ahead and round this thing out tonight. With.
Oh wait, no. I think we have to
come on, Tom.
I'm sorry. I know we got to talk about Larry Nance, just a little bit.
All right, go ahead.
No, I just he was really good. He seems like he's just quietly doing a lot of good things. He was hitting some jumpers. He made a three. Anthony.
Hitting some jumpers. He hit every single one of his shots tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stole my thing for the next segment, so thanks for that.
What was your thing?
Go ahead, Anthony. Drew, you got to cut this whole part.
What?
All right. All right. I do say, all right, really quick before we get to the stats and stuff, I will say Larry Nance is probably statistically the most impressive player for the Lakers, going 6 of 6 for 13 points. Randall goes 12 and 8 with 6 of 10 shooting. Russell 6 of 15 for 14, 6 and 3 assists. So it was kind of a game where all the numbers were kind of spread all over the place. But yeah, I think Nance has more than earned plenty of playing time.
And can we say we might have been a little bit too harsh on that draft pick, because I think most people.
I think I gave it a D on draft night, and I feel so bad. I'm sorry, Larry, if you're watching this.
I don't. I mean, my whole take was at the time, and no one had talked about Nance as a potential first-round pick, and the Lakers had an early second-round pick. So my whole stance was, this guy was probably going to be available at 34, but this might have been a case of maybe NBA front offices were a lot more on this than the people projecting it were.
And to that point, there have been quite a few people who have said that NBA front offices are really impressed with Nance. So
there were anonymous execs comparing him to Draymond Green after the draft.
Yep, definitely. All right, one word to describe the game. We'll start with Harrison, even though yours was kind of ruined.
Yeah, my word was going to be Nance, and I was going to talk about Nance and that. But I'm going to go with progress. I think that it was from last night to tonight, there was a lot of progress shown. DeAngelo Russell played better, played with more confidence. He got those fourth quarter minutes that we were all demanding for him. And the other thing that I noticed was that the shot distribution tonight was a lot more even. Last night, it seemed like all of the Kobe shots were just given to Nick Young and Lou Williams, and then everybody else kind of got their normal amount. But tonight, it seemed like it was a lot more evenly distributed amongst the starters and the bench. So that was good to see, that there was a little bit more ball movement.
Progress wouldn't be a bad word to use, but I would phrase it more as progress. Maybe there were some good things, but some things that are just like, I don't know. I don't that's 2 words. Mildly intriguing is what
Oh,
I
come
would
on,
say.
do better. We should all come up with different tonations of progress. Like you said, progress. I was like progress.
Progress.
All right, mildly intriguing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Count words.
That's 2 words. You broke the rule. Get out.
I said it was 2 words before
Anthony,
I said
mute
it.
him. Hit him with the mute button.
Woo. All right, go ahead. Mildly intriguing.
No, I mean, it's intriguing that DeAngelo was actually getting minutes in the 4th quarter, but there were still some serious issues with the team and the coaching staff and the players.
All right. Is baby steps 1 or 2 word?
2.
It's hyphened.
Hyphen.
Well,
That's
you
gay.
hyphens 2. Baby steps. See what the first
Yeah,
result is.
I'm going with.
You just gotta say it as fast as Tom, and then it counts as 1 word.
Yeah.
No, not baby steals. Baby steps. It's
I'm going 2 words.
2 words.
2 words. All right. I won't say baby steps then. I will say magic. I will call it magic because the progress that Harrison you're talking about, I think, was mostly in part because they were playing the Magic, who are way worse than the Heat.
Sure.
Nikola Vucevic's shot was magical. There's no way that goes in if he shoots that 100 more times. And finally, seeing Russell play in the 4th quarter was magical from a fan standpoint. I was going to say baby steps because that seems cool, but we kind of take a step backward because Clarkson didn't play in the 4th quarter and Randall wasn't in on that last possession. But I'm going to call this one magic. And also because Magic Johnson is probably going to tweet out that the Lakers were real close against the Orlando Magic tonight.
Real quick Kobe update. He told reporters after tonight's game that he probably won't report future minor injuries to VD and Byron because they're usually manageable, even though this one became serious. So that's not great, but
he's 37 years old. Let him do what he wants. Leave Grandpa alone.
I was going to say, that sounds a lot like, hey, just give him the cigarette. He has lung cancer anyway. All right, so on that note, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. It was very nice being back on the air tonight. I've missed this. This is my therapy. Thank you very much, Harrison Fagan, for joining the show. Thank you very much, Tom Fear, for joining the show. Make sure everybody checks out those 2 articles. Harrison's talking about why Russell should play in the 4th quarter, and Tom's talking about why Byron should be fired immediately.
What website can they find those at, Anthony?
This is all for the Silver Screen and Roll website for SB Nation.
silverscreenandroll.com in your internet browsers.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, check all that stuff out. Thank you guys for being on, and we'll have a Lakers Lounge coming to you in the next couple days. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Anthony.